Welcome to episode number 89 of the BEBC
BS
Podcast. Morning, fellas.
Morning. It is the Dakari Pechiconis Memorial episode. Not
It is.
Memorial, but he's still around. Good
Wow,
kid.
that was
Greatest
dark.
Good kid. Yeah, it was a slip of the tongue.
Jeez.
Here, take another donut. Wait.
Memorial. Poor guy. He's still alive and you got him in the ground, James.
Here, there's a shovel over there.
We're out of practice,
I'm not saying
people.
nothing.
We're
There
out of
he is,
practice.
sitting in the golf cart.
You see? Yeah. I got a skeleton sitting in the golf cart. That's what it is. Before we introduce our guest today, I want to do one thing because I think it's a monumental day for a friend of ours. Actually, it was yesterday, but if you look around the table, there's only 5 of us here, and no, he didn't die.
No.
Alan Wright.
That wouldn't be monumental.
That
though.
would be memorial.
That'd be memorial. Alan Wright, our friend, one of our members, who everybody knows because we've documented it since it started, who got really bad COVID.
Oh, bad COVID.
Spent a couple months in the hospital, another month or so in rehab, and has just been, out of work since September. Finally went back to work Friday.
Yeah.
So we're so happy for him that he's recovered and he's back on the job, and the skies will get back to normal.
And quite ambitious. First trip out of the box to Madrid.
You know, he told me, he said that he's got 3 trips to Madrid and 2 trips to Maui scheduled this month. So he's taking it off.
Yeah.
So good for Alan that he's recovered and back healthy. And I just wanted to say that so everybody knew where he was this morning. He's in Madrid right now, which is his favorite place to go. So he's lucky he got that trip for his first one back. Well, we got this morning one of our favorite guests who we love having come here, and not only
Thanks, Mark.
you're our smelly guest this morning.
Yeah,
coming
really.
straight from a
Sweaty,
workout.
smelly
Well, he
guest.
probably comes to more podcasts than I do.
Yeah, that is. Well, we can go back and look at the tape on that. But Kris Cumnock is with us this morning.
Hey.
Again,
Welcome, Chris.
our annual visit with you.
Yeah,
And boy, you're more and more Alabama every time I see you.
that's a good thing, right?
Well, you sent money there, so
Yes.
just like I did. So
Yes.
I feel your pain there.
And now your son graduated
He
this year?
graduated.
He graduated.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That's a great
Thank
achievement.
you.
Chris's income just went up.
Yeah.
Both kids are now out of
Yeah.
college.
More money at the
Give it
grocery
up.
store.
Well,
Hey,
yeah, I said that
hear
too.
you.
There you go.
Me too
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah,
So that's a good
big.
thing. So thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Because we talk
appreciate
about a whole bunch of different things, and not just Alan and the Landry, and we're going to do that this morning because there's just, and we're all sports fans, and there's just so much going on, especially as it surrounds football,
that. Yeah.
that we want to get into all those details.
Okay.
But we certainly want to talk Landry first because that's obviously a big passion of yours. And
Bread and butter, and we've been going to it for so many years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many-
How old is it?
This is the 22nd, but it's 23. We took the 1 year off for COVID,
COVID.
so
Right.
it's
Yeah.
our 23rd year, 22nd Tom Landry Classic.
Super. And this year, your 2 games are
So we've got Fort Worth. Fort Worth.
last
Fort
year,
Worth.
right?
Yeah, I'm
A
still.
little further west.
We've got St. John Bosco out of California coming in to play Allen on Friday night. And then on Saturday night, we've got arguably 2 of the 3 best teams in the state in 5A. We've got College Station coming in to play Lovejoy, and that, I don't know of a better 5A
Yeah,
game
that'd be a great game.
for the
I'm
season.
coming out for that one.
than
Definitely.
So,
Yeah.
Definitely.
anyway, just probably looking back, this is probably our 2 best games we've ever had in the classic.
In the same year, yeah.
Max Preps came out the other day and ranked the Allen and Bosco game as the 3rd best in the country for the season. Whatever that means, but I think they're both going to be good quality games, and you're going to see a lot of kids that are going to be playing on Saturdays. And
That's right.
Some
On
are
both
be
sides of
playing
the
on
ball.
Sundays.
I told Chris when he talked to Max Preps about that, and I said, "Why did you say only third best? I mean, come on, dude."
Number 1.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but no, that's, and there's a lot of people, and I've seen it on social media, and we've been around long enough, and we've talked to you about how this all happens and
Sure.
what it takes to get a game scheduled. That there's been a lot of you're playing a private school that recruits, that
Oh, yeah.
a bunch of 4 and 5 stars, and people are like, why are we doing this? But I want you to go through the process again and explain it, because we talked earlier in the summer
Yeah.
as you were
Sure.
trying to get something
Yeah.
scheduled about what you were going through, trying to get
The pain.
a Landry scheduled, especially again. It's not, so, and it may be harder on the 5A school. I don't know, but at least as it relates to Allen, and trying to get something scheduled for Allen each year, and what the process is you have to go through, and how it went this year in doing it.
Sure. Well, each year it gets harder to get teams to agree to come here and play Allen at their stadium when they don't get a return home game.
Right.
Nobody wants to come play here against Allen. They certainly don't want to do it 2 years in a row.
Right.
And so I probably made more calls in advance of this Landry Classic than I ever have, and even in the first year trying to get somebody to say yes to it. And I knew that day would come where you would run out of. And so we almost did. Now, Duncanville said, we'll do it. We were not crazy about not getting a return home game. We'll come do it. And St. John Bosco had reached out and said, we'll do it. And I was trying to go beyond those two, and it's running out of teams and running out of time. And so I went and met with Chad Morris, and I said, all right, here's the deal. We've got St. John Bosco out of California. They're a private school, but they've agreed to do it. They'd like to do it. They want to come to Texas, and they never have. And we have Duncanville. And he said, I'll play Bosco. And I said, well, Duncanville's closer, bring a bigger crowd, they'll bring their own fans.
Right,
And we
right.
can have more money for scholarships when that happens. But Chad's concerned, and I'm not trying to throw him under the bus at all. I mean, it's not they were great options. But he said, we could play Duncanville in the playoffs, and I don't want to play them early in the season.
Yeah.
So
That's
I want to
fair.
play Bosco.
Yeah, very legitimate reason. Yeah.
Yeah, legitimate reason.
Yeah.
So I wasn't crazy about it either. When Lee got hired, he made a phone call to me, and I knew that. Look, I knew the day he was hired, and I knew it was coming because
Yep.
he's going to be president of the Texas High School Coaches Association, and this is not what they want. Joe Martin and I had discussions about this because I called him out of respect for Joe, and I said, look, here's the situation we're in, and as it was first. When Joe and I first talked, we had not only one out-of-state team playing Allen, but 2 out-of-state teams playing Allen in weeks 1 and 2. Because one of the things that we do at the Landry Classic is we provide a home game for Allen in week 2 every year to
Yeah.
offset, playing in our game the previous week. And so I had a team out of Mississippi because I couldn't find anybody. So I talked to Joe Martin, and he said, "Do me this favor. Let me send it out through our Texas High School Coaches Association portal and see if we can get Texas teams and replace those 2 in weeks 1 and 2. And I said, okay. So we the only week 1 we could get that said we would come do it, outside of Duncanville, was DeSoto. And
Claude.
I will not, and I don't care who hears this, I will not do anything with their head coach. Because years ago he committed to play, was excited about it. We had done all the planning, and on July 1, when I was reaching out to him to set up some interviews with Channel 8 to promote the Landry Classic, and I couldn't get a hold of him. And I kept calling for days, texting him, and then I get a text at 10:30 one night saying, not going to be able to make it. Not going to be able to make it.
What?
He had already scheduled another game for them. It slipped his mind to tell us and to tell anybody, and I won't. He can be on fire on the side of the road, and I'm not pulling over.
If I had a
Well, it
headset,
probably
if I had
did
a
slip his
headset, I'd
mind.
be
He
throwing
was
it down.
So
right
hot
now.
and heavy on the recruiting trail down there. In the
Well, you know.
corridor down
Yeah,
there,
well,
so.
I mean, so that one, I told Joe, I said, I won't do that. And so we didn't get anybody else. We got C.E. King from Houston area to come up and play week 2, so that was a good thing. But, when Lee called me in, I had to explain this to him, but his his vision for the future is pretty clear. We want to play in this. We like playing in the Landry Classic. We will not play a private school again in the future. And I told him, I said, Lee, we're in 100% lockstep on this. He's like, I don't mind playing teams from out of state, but I need them to be public schools.
Yep.
Right.
And Bosco's got a lot of really, really good players, but there are a couple of things here that they have not been training in this heat. That's going to work against them.
They don't have the numbers either.
I mean, they don't have the. They're not Ohio State. Look, they're not. They're good. They've got a lot of good players. But the other thing is when they go play, and they play teams from all over the country.
Yeah.
But when they play at home, and they play these teams all over the country, they're playing before 4,000 people and 5,000 people. A packed Allen Stadium will be a hostile environment, and that the fans always want to know.
That's what we're shooting for.
Can we impact the game? You can impact the game, because this is. I know when Hoover came in here, Hoover had played in a lot of big games.
Yep.
Those kids were looking around, going, "Oh my gosh!"
They were taking pictures.
They were.
The minute they walked into the stadium, they all had their cameras, and they were taking pictures of the stadium and
Absolutely.
pointing and
And
everything.
then warm-ups when the stadium started filling up, they were like just going, oh,
Yeah.
no.
I think you're going to have a huge crowd there. Personally, I think people want to come see Bosco play
See
Allen.
Boston.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have a lot of people.
Literally, I've had 20 co-workers ask me how they could get tickets.
Yeah,
Good.
I think it'll be. I think it'll be crowded. I really do.
I think so, and I think a lot of people want to see new coaching staff. What does this look like? And look, Allen's got a lot of talent as well, and so I think that's going to be. I think it's going to be a great matchup, and I've seen some people on social media treating this like this is Alabama coming in to play Allen, and look, Bosco's really good,
Yeah.
but I don't know if they're as well coached as teams in Texas are. I don't think their kids have. I mean, when you train for seasons playing in Texas, I mean, it's hot here, and those kids at Allen, I mean, they're in a weight room with no air conditioning all summer, and they're outside.
The old barn. Yeah.
They're going to be used to this, and Bosco's not. I mean, I was on the phone with some of Bosco's people yesterday, and they're talking about renting misters and cold tubs, and I mean, and they're concerned
It's all
about
in
it,
their mind.
but they don't until they get off the plane and they're not
Walk up that ramp.
Yeah.
walk up that ramp.
Torture.
It's going to be
Yeah.
it's going to be a different deal for them,
Yeah.
and so I'm excited about it. It's a if you want to come see kids that are going to be playing at the next level. I mean, Allen's got a bunch too.
Yeah.
Bosco's got a bunch of them. I mean, they've got a bunch, and then on Saturday night, Lovejoy's got a bunch, and so is College Station. So these would be two good games to go to, and if you're coming to these games, my thing is please don't buy for the rest of the season. Buy your tickets on that ticket exchange, but pay for your tickets for this because we are giving scholarships away and truly impacting kids' lives. I'm hearing that. And I'm seeing it from the stories. You think, a kid from Allen getting a scholarship. Parents got plenty of money. Just there are backstories on these scholarships that people have no idea. I mean, we've got kids with. There's a lot going on with a lot of these kids that by coming to this game, you are helping them in a big way. And I get kids communicating back to me all the time, and they're finishing college and they're going and doing great things in life, and it's the only reason I've continued to do this, but it's just so many great stories that are coming out of this, and it's not me doing it. It's everybody that buys a ticket and shows up to this game. You are part of what this has been, and I'm proud of what it is and what we've done with it. So
It's one of the longest running, I guess,
Yeah, it is now the
this type
longest.
of
Yeah.
this type of events. Yeah, there's a bunch of different ones that happen around the city in Dallas-Fort Worth.
Yeah, what a great way to honor the greatest coach that's ever been.
Love Tom Landry.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, it's cool.
And now the resistance, just to hit on that one more time. So the resistance really is that the Texas high school coaches, kind of as a body, don't really want to encourage the type of IMG where everybody recruits, almost everybody's recruited in there. Some of them may not be. But it's that concentration of talent and kind of, what would you say, not ruining, but it kind of lessens the purity of the game, maybe?
Yeah, I think IMG is the real target, and I would never bring them in, because they will come in and recruit your kids, and they've recruited kids and taken a kid or two from Allen, but
For a while.
they'll come in and play a game in a city and be talking to some of your kids after the game about you should come over here and contacting their parents and things like that. Bosco's a private school, but they are not one of those private schools that will come in here and try to get Allen kids to go out there and play, because you'd have to move your whole family out there.
Yeah.
I mean, with IMG, you don't. With IMG, just put the kid
Yeah,
on a plane,
dormitories.
stay in a dorm, and it's just
Yeah.
like college, and there you go. But that's what they're trying to get, and you'd never have to go outside of the state for games. And Joe Martin and I have had this discussion before. If you could just get people to play other people, and Allen has an issue with it, Highland Park has an issue with it, South Lake does, Katy does. I've never understood, and I'm looking at Texas. Dave Campbell's Texas football, my buddy Joey McGuire on the cover. When I used to call Joey to play in the Landry Classic, and he played in it a lot when he was at CU.
Yeah, never hesitated.
I would start, he never hesitated. I would say, hey, you're going to play, and Joey cut me, I don't care if we're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's like, it's week one. It doesn't impact our district.
Yeah.
Just tell me who we're playing, what time, and I'll be there. But there's a lot of coaches that are like, all right, who would I play? You play Allen. We could get beaten that first game. Like, okay. Like, isn't it all about finding out what you've got before you get to district?
You're guaranteed to be better
After
for
Yeah.
playing in it.
Yes.
Yeah, play Allen and run the table.
Yeah,
You don't have to be undefeated to win a state championship.
absolutely.
Or if you do win, what kind of springboard that
There you
is
go.
for the rest
Oh, my
of your
gosh.
season.
Yeah.
Right.
It's all downhill from there.
And I'll say this about Coach Wigginton. When we talked, he wasn't crazy about playing them because his organization he's the president of is saying don't do it. And here, I put him in the position
He fell
where he's
into it,
doing
yeah.
But he's not afraid of playing them. I will say that, right? I mean, he made that clear to me. I'm not afraid of playing them at all. He wants to go out there and beat the rear, and that's his mindset, and that's what I think he will instill here in Allen. But he's not afraid to play them. And
Yeah.
a lot of coaches are afraid to play this one and afraid to play that one, and I don't know if I want to play those guys, and I'll only play them if they come to our stadium.
Yeah, he didn't strike me
Didn't
as a
like that.
person who operates out of fear at all.
No.
So
No.
I like that. Yeah.
So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I think there will be a lot of interest, like David or you said. New coach, new coaching staff.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been a lot of turnover in the staff.
Yeah.
Which kind of morphed out of the old regime now and into
Yeah.
it's almost, in fact it is. I don't
Yeah.
think there's any leftovers from
Maybe
Yeah, at least not in the varsity
one or
level.
two, but hey, let's celebrate. We did get a new assistant DB's coach
we
Yep.
did this week.
in the fantastic and speedy
Chad
Adams.
Yeah.
hired this
So,
week.
Welcome, Chad. Welcome
Yeah,
back to
welcome
the
back.
family. We're glad to
So,
have you. Yeah.
Let's take a look here, because I know your knowledge of Texas high school football is I marvel at it because you're in all this stuff and you talk about it a lot. So when you look at Class 6A this year, and you say, okay, who are the teams that are going to be, it's probably a lot of the same ones. But when you look at the landscape, who do you see, competing for the state championship this year, based on what you've seen so far?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of the same group.
Yep.
South Lakes. I mean, just look at this area. Let's start with start with Allen. I think things in life are about setting expectations, and this is probably the most difficult schedule anybody's going to play in 6A is what Allen's going to play with a new staff.
Mm-hmm.
And with a fairly young team. But if they can get in the tournament, and they will, if Allen can get to the playoffs, December could be fun around here because those kids will have been through the gauntlet. Yeah, I mean, this is a SEC type schedule that they're playing, and if they can just, because you've got Prosper in there, McKinney's going to be pretty good, but you got C.E. King who's really good. You got Bosco like we've talked about. You're playing Arlington Martin. I mean, nobody else is
and you didn't
playing
even mention Geyer.
And Geyer, thank you, Geyer as well, and that's 60% of your schedule right there. And all of those teams could win their district or be first or second in their district and go a long way in the playoffs, if not win it. So I think if Allen can get through that, and they're going to need fan support this year like never before. Yeah. And I think that's the key to building this program back up to where everybody wants it to be. Is you got the best stadium in the country. You just need to fill it because you can impact these games. It used to be that way, and it's fallen off a little. And people need to get back out there and stop the do we have a chance to win state this year? These games. I think the older you get, the more you realize it's not about can we win state every year, because the answer is no, you can't. Nobody can. But it's about moments in life that you get the opportunity to go and be somewhere special on a Friday night and experience Friday night lights.
Yeah.
And we get to do that right here. You got it right in front of you, so take advantage of it. So, but back to your questions, Duncanville's going to be really good again. Can they ever get over the hump? That's the thing. And I don't know. I don't know if this is that team to do it. DeSoto's going to be really good. They've got a really talented team over there. Are they going to screw it up?
Odds are yes.
Odds are probably
yes, but Katie's going to be good. Westlake's still going to be good. Katie Pato's going to be good.
Yeah.
North Shore's going to be good. I mean, it's a lot of those same, the same kind of teams. Geyer's going to be, really good as well.
Yeah.
It's just it's so much about the quarterback now, and that's why I'm encouraged that if Allen can get in the thing, they've got an elite guy.
Oh yeah.
Hawkins is an elite kid. But it always seems to come down to, and that's why Westlake's been so good the last couple of years. They've got good players and they're well coached, but they had that kid Klubnik that's now at Clemson.
Right.
And that kid is
Cade was special.
Fantastic. He's just a great player. And when you look back on who wins in 4A, 5A, 6A in Texas every year, it usually comes back to that. You've got a good quarterback that's kind of running the show there. It's such a quarterback-driven game now, and so 6A's loaded again, 5A's loaded again. Playoffs are going to be a lot of fun for sure.
This whole North Texas area is really growing.
Yeah,
Prosper's only going to get better and better.
Right.
They just split and they have another high school, but it doesn't matter. There's more and more people moving in here.
Absolutely.
Melissa, look at Melissa.
Yes.
They're going to be strong. They'll be 6A in a couple of years easy.
And with the growth up in like in Denton and in Argyle,
Right.
it's just more and more and more people.
That's right.
Coming in there, and you're right. It's just a loaded area, and we've got so many talented kids here, but so many talented coaching staffs too. I don't think there's anywhere in the country that the kids are coached as well as they're coached here. And that's another thing. Look, I know Bosco's got Coach Negro's got a great staff there.
Yeah.
But I don't know that they're coached like kids are coached in Texas. because you hear college coaches talk all the time. You know, if we get a kid from Texas, they come in, you know, ready for this deal. It's not as overwhelming for kids coming out of these large Texas high schools because, you know, they go through it here, and
They're used to playing in a large group setting, so.
absolutely.
Well, that's what it comes down to is, well, there's going to be adversity on both sides, and how do they handle it as a team? Mm-hmm. And they've got a lot of talent to overcome it. But when you get, just like the Mike Tyson fights, plans are great until you get smacked in the face.
Well, and not only how does the kids handle it, how does the coaching staff handle it?
Exactly.
Because,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of times coaching staffs aren't put in that position, and when they panic,
Right.
you know, or
Right.
or not make the right
Right.
calls, or it goes. It's a combined effort for everybody.
It's that fight or flight mentality.
Yeah.
You know, when you get challenged, you know, do you kind of lose it, or do you just get down to it and
Yeah.
focus the kids, focus yourselves? It's going to be fun. That's part of what I look forward to so much about, you know, the season.
Student section.
Student section. Come on,
Yeah,
student
man.
section. Man, we're counting on you more than ever.
Well, and I'll build off of that. So, I commend. I mean, it's an epidemic in high school and in college now about decreasing crowds
Right.
because there's so much to do, and you know, kids. When I was a kid, you could take me to a football game, and I could sit there, and I didn't have a phone, but I could sit there and just focus on the game for 3 hours, and that was cool for me.
Yeah.
Kids nowadays, that's not their deal. I'm not criticizing them. That's just not how they've been brought up. So people lose interest, and it's almost like wake me when the playoffs are here, or wake me when, you know, when we go to a bowl game or whatever. It's an epidemic, and I commend, you know, Robin has done, you know, she recognized this. She and I had a talk about it. She recognized the fact that it's a problem here like it is everywhere else, and put together a committee to address making games in Eagle Stadium more fun. What can we do to
More
enhance the game
interactive.
experience?
Yeah.
And, you know, you go to a college game, and almost every college out there's got their song that end of the third quarter, that thing comes on and the whole stadium's into it and everybody's singing along. Well, that's going to happen here now. And I'm not going to ruin it. I'm not going to tell you what it is. But
We need to have some good hooligan soccer chants. Man. I'm telling you.
I don't think that's been talked about yet.
Everybody
but,
gets one of those horns when they walk in the stadium.
Nolan could be our lead hooligan, man.
yeah. But there's going to be things on the video board, things on the field that you've never seen before. So she's really, you know, Robin Bullock's put a lot of effort into what can we do to make the game experience in Eagle Stadium more fun. And I've been fortunate to be able to sit in on those meetings, and you know, Kim and the athletic department. And there's a lot of people, communications. I mean, everybody's kind of got a say in this, and there's some social media things that were filmed last week that are going to start and go before every game. And it's all designed on let's re-engage the community, because look, it's people say, well, when I went to game, it's not the same community as it was 10 years ago. No community is, and so it's like, hey, let's re-engage and re-pull people in and recreate Friday nights that this is the place to be. And so I think it's going to be fun to be in the stadium. And again, you know, there's only so many things in life that you can show up and everybody is pulling in the same direction towards something. And
having that shared experience. There's nothing like seeing something in person. Now, the UIL, I guess, is allowing Friday night streaming this year, I think.
are.
Okay.
They are.
It's just not the same experience. I get it. If somebody is sick, you know, we've had some fans, one of our a handful of fans, you know, was sick. Couldn't really go to the games a lot of times, and so that's an alternative. But there's nothing like coming out, and especially with the, you know, ticket purchases going to scholarships.
Right. And, you know, Alan's the one, and I hear all these athletic directors in the UIL talk about how concerned they are that crowds are shrinking in our Friday night experiences, and yet they turn around and say, but we're going to stream the games. Well, you can't complain about this and yet do that.
Right.
Very true.
And Alan's the one that said no streaming, and I'm allowing the game to be streamed outside of Texas for the people in California that can't come. I agreed to that, but I said, so it's geo-locked in Texas. So if anybody out there's thinking that you can, and I've had a lot of people who know way more about this than I do, working on this to make sure that if you're in Texas, you can't get this, because we want you there. We want you in the stadium. We want, all the kids. I'm not talking about just the football players, but if you're a student manager, a student trainer, a cheerleader, a band member, a drill team kid, they all work their tails off to do what they do. They put in a lot of work and a lot of effort, and they deserve to look around and see it full in there.
Right.
Because
And
that's
loud.
where you feel the support, and it means something to them. I don't care if they tell you that or not. It means something to them, and you only have so many years to have this experience. So let's make it that experience, because you go to a lot of stadiums around here, and there's 1,500 people, and that's not an experience.
Well, and this is really important. So you talked about the streaming. I want you to cover that a little bit. There are a lot of kind of scam outfits that are out there. If you go onto YouTube and you do a search for Allen versus St. John Bosco,
You'll find it.
You're going to see 10, 15 sites, and they're all scam sites that are going to end up steering you.
Yeah.
Do you know who's streaming it? What platform it's going to be streamed on for the people outside of Texas?
Yeah, it's Flow Sports.
Flow Sports.
It's the group that's doing it, and I've worked with them before. They're a
Similar
really
to like
reputable-
Flow Wrestling?
What's
Or
that?
is it the same organization as Flow Wrestling, or is
Yes.
Is it
Flow?
Okay.
Flow Sports.
Yeah.
Okay,
They do
awesome.
a lot of different things, but
it FLOW?
but you're right. You'll see it.
FLO.
Yeah, FLO.
FLO. But don't bite on it. Don't.
Right.
If it's not Flow Sports,
not-
it's not.
But you're not.
It's not real.
And don't pay them either, because they're not trying to scam you. But you could go on in Texas and put your credit card in, and it'll get charged, and you'll be able to get it reversed. But you're going to have to do that because you'll get
'cause
through
you won't
all
be
the
able to get it.
process,
Yeah.
and you're not going to get it.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're right. There's a ton of streaming services. We saw it last year during the Plano East game.
We did.
People were paying money to all these sites saying, stream the Plano East game for $16, and all they're doing is just getting your money, and that
And
game's
scamming
never
you.
coming on.
Scamming you.
It just spins for a minute, and you're like, well,
Circle it down.
it's about to start, and it never starts. So you're just wasting $16 and never
Right.
get back.
And so if you're in Texas, understand that. Come to the game.
Yeah.
You
You're
know,
out of
Yeah.
Texas, Flow. Nobody else.
Or come to the game.
Come
Unless
to the
it's
game.
a sellout, and then you can send the BEBC your money, and
we get
I'll
a,
hold my phone
Hold the
out.
phone up.
501c3.
we get a video from James.
Only if it's a sellout.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
local blackout rules apply.
Now, that's one of the other questions I had for you. The district has always been, I think, where they wanted to charge. If somebody wants to stream the game, and we ran into this when we played Odessa, in one of the playoff games, they wanted to stream the game because they video out all the games for people that work in the oil field or whatever and can't make it to the game. Was that a district policy, do you know, or you're saying this is an Allen thing for this Tom Landry?
Well, Allen
Little insight.
Allen made the decision that they are not going to stream their games,
Okay,
which,
For the season.
for the season.
right.
The rest of the district schools, at this point, the UIL's left it up to the district to say,
Yeah.
do what you want to do. Which I'm not a big fan of that from the UIL standpoint. You're the leadership of this for the state, and I've got friends down there, but make a decision and
Live with it.
live with it.
Yeah.
But be the leadership. And
Right.
I don't think you leave it up to individual districts, and I don't understand if it's so important to them. They talk about it, and they have meeting after meeting after meeting on how do we fix it. Well, the way you don't fix it is to allow people just to stay home, particularly early in the season when it's hot. I get it. We all have to suffer through some heat before it turns cooler.
I think
and
those
really
kids are
enjoy it.
doing.
Well, yeah, kids are out there in pads and in band uniforms. They're hot too. But when you give people a chance just to sit at home and have their laptop in front of them and watch the game,
That's
then you
lazy.
complain
sorry,
about.
but it is.
Yeah.
Well, just tune into the old Coach Radio broadcast and get it like you used to have to get, football games. Listen to the radio. Yeah, go.
Yeah.
Or come to the
We'll
game.
come to the game. Yeah.
Exactly.
Come tailgate.
Come tailgate.
Okay, switching gears here now. We're gonna move out of high school.
Got grinding in the gears.
Grinding. Push the clutch in, dude.
Oh yeah, I forgot. What's a clutch?
Yeah, for real. Kids these days have no idea. To college football, because the landscape of college football, which in my mind affects a lot of high school kids
Which is
now.
a deep, dark place, by the way.
Yeah, it's something else. As they make their decision where they want to, not only play football but go to school and things. Because of the way the landscape is changing, and especially changed this summer, with everything happening. And I guess you go back to
The year before.
the Texas-Oklahoma announcement that they're moving to the SEC. Kind of cracked the door on Pandora's box.
Right.
Right.
Consolidation into super
Yeah, the
conferences.
super conference. And I know you're well deep ingrained in this, and you've got your Alabama shirt on, your Alabama hat on, and Alabama rules the roost, and we all understand
Mr.
that.
SEC.
And I get it, and with that coach, they should, but it's changed so much this summer, and so I just wanted to get your thoughts on where you think it's headed, and how's all this going to, wash out at the end?
Well, I think we're at, I'm in the business that I'm in, I do the NIL for players. And,
Which is our next topic. So.
and people
Name,
like
name
that.
image, and likeness for those who are not
Name, image, and
familiar.
likeness.
Yeah.
But I don't like it. I wish the NIL had never happened. I wish the transfer portal had never happened. I think they're counterproductive to what college football and college sports should be about. I think, and they're, right now you can transfer once and play immediately, and they're
Right.
about to pass a deal where, hey, you want to transfer a second time? You want to transfer a third time? 4 times? Fine. They're about to pass that where you can just transfer anytime you want. And so if I'm a kid at Texas Tech and I'm pretty good, I was a 2-star, 3-star coming out of high school, and Joey McGuire and his staff have developed me and made me a good player, and I start looking around going, wow, Ohio State's loaded for next year. I'm going to transfer there and go try to get a national championship ring, kind of like they do in the NBA now. Those guys look around and say, hey, the Nets are loaded. I'm going to go play for them, or I'm going to go play for Golden State, or move around. Well, it's going to be the same thing, I fear, in college football. In terms of the conferences, so the SEC, getting Texas and Oklahoma, makes it even stronger. But they were working back channels really for over a year now. The desire, and they'll deny this forever, but I'm telling you this is fact. The desire for the SEC was, all right, we get Texas, we get Oklahoma. We want Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson, Florida State as well. And then we're going to become our own entity. We're going to have our own playoff, and we're going to determine our own national champion. And USC, if you don't like it, or Oregon, or Notre Dame, or whoever, then either get on board or whatever. But we're going to crown our own national champion, and we're going to have our own entity.
You're going to take the NCAA
Create their
out of
own
it.
Yeah.
NCAA division. SEC.
No, it won't.
Whatever.
No,
I'm just
it
gonna
won't
say-
be NCAA.
there
But
won't be
that's what I'm saying.
NCAA.
That they create their own.
Yes.
Okay.
They created a live golf tour.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
I'm wondering, is
Yeah.
Saudi money behind this or something?
Maybe.
Well, and the way things are going, the NCAA could still be abolished,
Yeah.
or just be relegated to Division II football and all that
Yeah.
kind of
That-
stuff.
that's where
second,
it's going.
they,
Yeah.
So-
second tier.
So that scenario, at least as it relates to Ohio State and Michigan, is probably off the table.
Yes, that's now. with-
Clemson and Florida State are still out there.
Yeah.
Kind of floating.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so now you look at it. I mean, the Pac-12, that's on life support.
Yeah, there's no more Power 5.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
not. So the Big 12's trying to say we want to be that third league because you can still have this power thing. It doesn't have to be 2; it could be 3.
Right.
Right.
And so the Big 12 and their new commissioner, they're doing what they can because the ACC is going to live or die with really what Clemson does,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Sadly.
what Florida State and Miami do, and then they're trying to get Notre Dame into the mix. Well, the Big Ten's trying to get Notre Dame into the mix, and the SEC's trying to get them there too.
And Notre Dame don't want to go anywhere.
And Notre Dame doesn't want to go anywhere,
Which
but
is kind of a saving grace. I mean, in my mind, that they're holding out like that to at
prohibits
least slows
everything else.
down
Yeah.
what's really. I mean,
Yeah.
like what's happening is everybody wants Notre Dame. Well, if they can slow this thing down, maybe a voice of reason can come in and stop this thing because it's what created all this was winning. Winning gives you money. Money gets everything else. Then you got disgruntled people saying, well, why should they get all the money off of my back? And now, so they created the NIL, so off my back I can get a little money for whatever it is.
Yeah.
And the transfer portal, well, you just created, like you said, now that's not even good enough. So I got to be able to transfer once, twice, 3 times a lady, whatever. And it is. That's why I'll go back. I only want to spend my money on high school football because it is the last pure form of football
sport.
entertainment there is.
yeah.
Well, explain.
Well, I
explain.
mean-
Go ahead, Noel. Go.
College football's always been a business, but the problem is
Yeah.
it was a business for the NCAA,
Right.
and
That's true.
the
schools have taken
and the
over
schools,
their-
and the schools have taken over. I mean, these kids, they got a scholarship, and I get it. There's 2 sides to every argument here on this issue.
That's what I would like to see happen, though, is it get figured out. What protects the kids when you recruited Mark, but
Right.
you get fired, now Mark's left standing. He deserves the right to go somewhere he can
Right,
play.
and- yeah, and-
but
right.
not just because he wants to go sign a $5 million, deal with somebody.
Yeah,
to,
Mark's tough in his chest.
I mean, we all knew it was going to be.
$5 million
We all knew it was going to be very interesting when the NIL came down and the very first kid to have the big, leaves his senior year of
He
high
didn't play
school
like
and
down
didn't
in
play it
football.
down,
Yeah.
Mr. Mullet.
and then leaves after 1 year. I mean,
Hey.
that
might
guy,
not-
whoever,
and he might not
we
be
still don't know
the
what
man
happened to
there.
that money. Did he have to pay it back, or
Yeah,
do you know?
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's coming down here too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's already in some states, and my concern here is
You mean at the high school level?
yeah, at the high school level.
Okay.
My concern, when I talked to Joe Martin, the head of the Texas High School Coaches Association, about this a couple years ago, he said, "Never ever. This is the piece of ground we'll die on. We will never allow this in Texas high schools." And last year, he said we're having discussions about how it, and it's not that Joe's changed, but everybody has said, well, it'll never happen in college, and then you start going to court, and then the courts say, well, it will happen in college. Well, somebody's going to take the state of Texas or UIL to court to say, why can't my son or my daughter is a great gymnast or my son is a great baseball pitcher? Why can't somebody pay them money? Kids can go have jobs. Kids can go work at Cinemark or at Whataburger. Why can't my son do this if they want to promote? And so that's
It's a choice. That's in high school. It's a choice. You either going to go work at Whataburger or you're going to train and
no, I agree. Yeah,
and be the best athlete you can possibly do. This route you're going to make a little pocket money. This route you're going to, again, that's your choice.
but here's the big problem with this. When you're, what it was intended. It's like everything else. So here's the intended result, and here's the real result. So the intended pure form of this is you get into college, you're playing, and a company comes along and says, I feel like your name could help me get customers, so I'd like to pay you to endorse.
Right.
Well, that's not happening because realistically, there's not there's maybe 5 kids in college right now, and that may be too many. There's maybe 5 kids in college right now that a company could say that kid's name and image can bring my company more business.
Right.
That's not real. I mean, particularly with the money these kids are getting, you could never justify it from a business standpoint. So all it has become is, I own a business. I want to help, Texas A&M. So
I knew that was coming
It's a
up.
funnel.
We
It's a
need-
funnel.
we need we need more wins. So I'm going to say my business wants that kid and that kid and that kid over there and that one over there. We want you guys to come here,
And that's exactly how it's turned out.
and that's how it's turned out. Well, the problem is in the in the locker room, and I will say this. Am I an Alabama fan? Yes, but I will say this about Coach Saban, and I know this from people on the staff that recruit, is he has said, we are not offering cash for a kid to come here and play. We're not going to do that. But if they come here, we'll make sure they're taken care of like all these other colleges are doing. But Texas was really the first to step out there and say, if you're an offensive lineman and you come here,
You get
50 grand.
50 grand a
grand.
year. Well, my first thought with that was, when I'm sitting in the locker room, I'm a wide receiver, and I'm looking at Mark, and he's a third-string offensive tackle over here, and I had 900 yards and 14 touchdowns last year. He's getting 50 grand, and I'm not.
I need to
He
get
don't even
paid.
have
Wait
his
a
knee
minute.
braces on.
I need to
and
get
so-
paid.
What Saban said was, everything that we bring in from our collective gets spread evenly throughout the team. So if you're the third-string punter who never punts ever in a game, you're going to get the same as Bryce Young gets. Now, Bryce Young can go out and make more money on his own with the NIL deals.
Bye-bye.
Yeah,
God
more power
bless
to
them.
it.
Yeah.
And then they've gone out and they've hired 2 guys who are taking Alabama's players and putting them into this algorithm that they have developed, and it markets them to companies all over the country to say, is this a kid that could help you? And then they put Fanatics store in Bryant-Denny Stadium to sell all Alabama branded player products, jerseys and things like that, hats, and all that money goes directly to the players. Well, that's all kind of what is happening. But this stuff of and you look at Miami's recruiting right now. And look, I'm not ripping A&M. Look, I don't like A&M because I'm a Bama fan. And they don't like Bama because they're A&M fans. But for an A&M fan to say, hey, we weren't paying anybody, we just had a great recruiting year last year. Well, if you look at your history of recruiting, the highest you'd ever finished was 5th. And all of a sudden last year, you set the record at 1. And oh, by the way, last year's really kind of the first year of it. And now A&M is
8
being
4.
more quiet about it. And Miami this year, all of a sudden
Just going
Miami's
out
getting
there,
all
yeah.
these guys. And, Dion, I mean, he's a friend of mine, but Dion may have gotten the best player in the country last
Yeah.
year.
From Florida State, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How is
Last minute.
that kid's not going to go and play, for Jackson State?
No.
Except he did, because he got a bunch of money. And there's a 5-star kid that just went to Louisville. Like, what?
Yeah. So
Well, he got a pile of money. And there's a kid at Tennessee who's getting, people say $8 million. I've heard it's more like 3.5, but
Still,
a lot of money.
good. It's still, we're talking
And he
7
hasn't
figures.
taken a
That's
snap
crazy.
yet. And what
Yeah.
happens if he is? What happens at Texas? I mean, you think we all know what Quinn Ewers got to go to Ohio State. So what do you
Yeah.
think he got to transfer to Texas? So what
Yeah.
if Hudson Card's the starting quarterback, and I'm the guy that gave Ewers $1.5 million? Do I get my money back?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
This is not
how's that going to
sustainable.
play?
Yeah.
Hey, I helped get this guy to your school,
yes.
and now you're not going to play him. Now what's going on through those corridors?
You're exactly
And
right.
that's-
It just messes.
And
it
I
messes
said that
a lot
for
of
years.
stuff.
Could it be?
The biggest thing about this NIL deal to me that doesn't make sense is the companies who do it. Because
Right.
what you said
Yeah.
earlier,
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
you don't get that back.
Not in any
it's a
way.
lost
Unless
investment.
you're an alum and you
It's
just want to
return
give money
on
in a
investment.
There is
now-legal
I
way.
heard,
Right.
I heard it best described is legalized boosterism, basically.
exactly what it is.
And
That's
you know,
all it's
back
been,
in the day,
yeah.
what was
Yeah.
the kid's name
And
that play the quarterback that and then he had a fictitious job at a car wash and ended up at Sam Houston.
Bomar.
Well, yeah,
oh, Rhett Bomar.
Rhett
yeah.
Bomar.
That you know, that's a popular.
That just
what
popped in my
happened?
head.
You know,
Is that
that's
South Lake kid?
that type of thing
Yeah.
is
Good memory. Grand Prairie.
Yeah.
Oh, Grand Prairie.
Grand
Yeah.
Prairie.
Oh, Grand Prairie?
Went to OU for
Well, now,
a thing.
do one
Yeah.
thing. Explain to me. I understand the you know, the transfer portal, but it's kind of throwing high school recruiting into chaos, isn't it? Can you kind of explain that aspect? Because now all of a sudden you've got college teams looking at the portal more than they are new kids coming out of high school.
Yeah, because you've got, you know, the portal's a dangerous thing because, especially when you're a kid, you look at some of these kids and it's sad. When a kid doesn't have a dad or a family around them, and I'll give you a good example. Alabama had a cornerback last year. He's a backup cornerback. So he's one play away from being the starter. Well, the week before the Auburn game, so the week before the last SEC regular season game, this kid gets mad, got with people whispering in his ear saying, "You should be starting, you should." And he says, "I'm going in the portal, like today, so I'm done." Well, next game, cornerback goes down. Next game, cornerback goes down. So they lost both their starting corners. So he would have been starting in the SEC championship, the college football playoff, and the national championship game, but he's sitting at home because he didn't have anybody to say, "Hey, I know you're frustrated. You got 3, maybe 4 games. Play it out. Go in the portal. Go somewhere else."
Right.
But he didn't have anybody like that, and so many of these kids don't have them. So last year, I think there were 2,400 kids in the portal with nowhere to play.
I've seen that.
So
Good
what-
gracious.
that portal's just full of kids, and more and more and
No
more are
place to
going
go.
into it. And colleges only have 85 spots per year,
Right.
and so they're looking in that portal because they can say, "Well, I've got film of this kid playing in SEC games, so I know
Known
what I'm
quantity.
getting at the
Yeah.
college level."
Yeah.
And so a lot of these scholarships, 12, 13, 14 for some schools per year are going to portal kids. Well, that's 12, 13, 14 high school kids now that just for that one school that don't have an opportunity.
Or they end up
So-
having to go to another school and
Yeah.
and transfer.
So it is hurting high school recruiting.
When is the last day you can enter into the portal before the season? Isn't there, or is it?
I
is
think
there
it's
any
wide
ti-
open now.
It's about to be wide open now. Some conferences, I think the SEC says you have to, I think maybe May 1st.
You know, just cause like you take another sport like baseball, they or whatever where the free agency period, then the draft. You know, they're gonna have to set something up to where these kids can know, okay, before
College baseball.
I consider Florida State,
Yeah.
are they
Sure,
going to,
football players
if
that
I
play
can
baseball.
go there, or what are they looking at in the portal? The portal ends now. Okay, position I play, they didn't fill. I can still feel like I have a chance to keep Florida State on the table.
Because you could sign
Right.
your letter of intent
Right,
going to wherever, and then 2 weeks later they pull somebody out of the portal.
right, and then that's
Then you're
unfair to the kid because based on faith or whatever that he thought there was still
An opportunity. yeah.
opportunity. Because like you take, because now Quentin Ewers or Hudson Card, either one, who knows what Arch Manning's going to do? I mean, there, and so
How much did he get?
he probably got a lot from his daddy anyway. It don't matter. Wouldn't need it. But I'm just saying that there's got to be something like that's going to have to be set in place in order for this thing to operate more efficient
Well, and I'm
for the kids
Or less
For
chaotically,
the kids.
yeah, for the kids.
biggest thing for me personally, and again, I tend to think more long term. My problem with the portal is it's an easy way out and it doesn't teach these kids
Compete, yeah.
what life
Yeah.
is really
Yeah,
about.
compete
Yeah.
for
Oh,
something.
I can get out.
Yeah.
I can get
Exit
out.
strategy.
Yeah, or
Exit
I
strategy.
can't play here. I can go play there. It's an easy way out of a tough situation.
Commitment,
Yeah,
loyalty.
Consequences.
You know, and
all
that's
of
where
those.
I'm saying too, like
And
the
life ain't like that.
rules could be set in place that so and so recruited me. Now he's fired. Now I'm left standing because I was his guy.
Yeah.
Now I should have,
Yeah.
leave it at one transfer portal. But if it can be proven that the guy that recruited you is gone, and that's another valid reason why you should be able to transfer now. Because, I mean, my team, Georgia Tech, Paul Johnson, ran triple option. All those players he left Jeff Collins with are not Jeff Collins. So now, well, we're transitioning, try to get regular football players instead of certain type of linemen. When, you know, if that situation happens, and, you know, now
All those kids are stuck.
all those
Yeah.
kids are stuck. You need it. That was, like you said, the intent was in that aspect regard was good, but just like we all know that there's always a way to circumvent for whoever wants to operate under the table. Now you just made it so much easier for them.
Well, and you know, this transfer deal, the more liberal they make it to where transfer when you want. So they're doing away with, it used to be, you know, 25 scholarships a year and then an 85 limit. Well, now that's kind of off the table.
Yeah.
Now it's just the 85 limit. So with the freedom to transfer all you want, if you're the head coach at Florida State, and you know I'm a kid that's kind of through back channels saying, hey, I want to come, and you know Nolan's saying there's another kid he wants to come too, but you're at the 85 limit. Well, you're going to go to a couple kids that aren't producing for you and say, look, I ain't telling you that you got to go, but you're
You
never
should really go into the
playing
portal.
here, and we're going to make it really hard on you. And
Yeah.
you know, just know that we
And that
don't
does
want
that
you
happens
We're
now.
gonna
Stick
That
you in a
happens.
maintenance shed
because they want
and
those
turn the
kids
lights
to go. Yeah, but they're you want those kids to go so you can go get these two kids.
Yeah.
And that's not right either.
No.
And so all these things that people say, well, we're trying to make it better for the kids so they can earn. Well, all you're doing is you're just making things really difficult, because what you said is we're teaching kids that if you don't get instant gratification, it's okay to quit and go somewhere else.
Right.
And then they get out of college and it's like, oh, you mean I can't just quit and go over here? My marriage isn't. My wife and I had a fight. I can't just quit and go over here. And I can't. I had a tough
And
day
all
at
vote
work.
for
and
Biden.
It's the wrong
It's-
mentality for a healthy life.
It's the wrong mentality. But yet all these things that we've put into place are so counterproductive for kids and what's good for them from
They
the high
ran
schools
7 bubble
on up.
screens in a row. I want to leave.
Yeah.
Bam!
I had to get bubble screens into the podcast. Sorry, Chris.
It's all right.
Hey, I want to see them lure somebody in with those bubble screens and then do a stop and go and a touchdown.
Yeah,
We got some speed.
Dad wasn't here, but we brought that up with the coach at that
Oh, yeah?
first interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, I listened. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun.
We told him that. Watch, and I said he'll do that just to spite us.
Right.
Yeah.
First play.
I'll show them.
Not Coach Wig.
Or we
He
might
would
get
never
a
do
wife
that.
mad at us.
And they're
That's
done
all
that
right.
too, so, you know. Well, it's an interesting landscape, and it's changing constantly because you never know. I mean, like the whole, the team from UCLA, USC jumping. I don't know. I hadn't heard a lot about that, and all of a sudden, boom, one day there it is. They're gone.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's things happen so quickly these days, and so it's an interesting to sit back and try to watch it and figure it out. And,
Well, just think too, how much money does these colleges make off of the football?
Yeah.
Because now you've got USC and Rutgers in the same conference, or
Right.
will when it happens. All right, that money, in order for all that to happen, has got to be off of football, because a Tuesday night women's basketball game has got to be paid for them to travel,
Yeah.
right?
For most schools.
Well, so how much all that travel expense and everything and it's made off of football.
Well,
That just shows you how much money is being made off of it.
Yeah, and the other problem that you're going to have now, because you have Title IX, and you should have. Look, Title IX is good.
No, I mean, I
But-
didn't. But I'm just saying,
No, but-
you're not going to make any revenue off of the game itself.
No, but no, what you're saying is right. And then, so much is having to be just to compete in football. You've got to. The schools have to go out and raise so much NIL money, and football's the revenue producer for 90% of the schools anyway, and everything else
Right.
is either even or lost revenue. But you're going to have to start cutting sports to keep football and basketball,
Premier.
in the premier position. And when you cut, you can't say we're going to cut women's gymnastics and women's volleyball and women's soccer and men's soccer. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
'Cause
No.
Title IX says no. You got to have equal sports,
Opportunity.
and I'm not
Yeah.
complaining about that. But you're just going to start seeing a bunch of these sports go out the window. So
For
people can
both
keep-
sexes, yeah, for
yeah,
both.
for both
It
sexes.
become club
To keep it-
sports.
Yeah.
There you go. And then you get no support
Yeah.
financially. for
Like
that.
croquet is going to go the boy side.
Right.
7-man badminton. I mean,
And you're right on that. I mean, football is, and it still is probably for 100% it's the money maker. But there are schools out there that make, the UConns of the world and the Tennessees of the world, and heck, I was shocked. Arkansas freaking sold out this upcoming girls basketball season.
At 3 times
Completely
I
sold
know.
out for women's basketball and men's basketball. So, you put some good teams together over year after year. For long periods, or like in Arkansas's case, short periods of time, people come. You can count Arkansas. Jag off. But yeah, you've got more and more. You got more and more of the what they used to call the secondary sports within the school that are starting to become financially independent and could survive on their own if there wasn't football. I mean, ours have had to for a long time because football sucked.
And what school is that?
Arkansas.
Oh.
Well, the other problem too is for a lot of these kids, and I try to.
Jag
I
off.
make sure I get the parents and the kids on the phone when we're talking NIL stuff because I want the parents to hear this. But
Yeah.
come April, there's a lot of kids that are going to get
Check.
their bill from Uncle Sam saying you owe this for a
Right.
kid that made $80,000
And it's gone.
off the NIL, and they
Yeah.
spent it all.
Yeah.
And they're going to get this and like, what do you mean I owe,
$30,000.
I don't have $20,000. Well, sorry.
You did.
You did. And so for a lot of kids, that's going to come as a shock because they didn't have people around them
Right.
to say, you've got to be smart. This is what you've got to set aside. 'Cause that's not yours anymore.
Does high school fail our kids in teaching them some of the
Your
basics?
net is not your
finances.
I
I mean,
and-
just real
The answer
world.
is yes.
Yes.
Real world
Yeah.
stuff.
I have been a
think so.
proponent of that for years, that it should be a core requirement
Yes.
that,
Finance.
that a
Finance.
kid in high school has to take a finance class to learn all about credit cards, learn about mortgages, learn about payments, learn about budgets,
Right.
learn about
Didn't Florida
taxes.
pass that?
How to write a
Just
check.
recently?
I remember in our high school, only kids that took business math though were the ones that had to get their second math and they couldn't pass geometry or algebra.
Yeah, but
I mean,
it's-
but that's what you're right. I
It's
mean,
life skills.
It's life
I mean,
skills.
You know, home ec. I don't know if they still have home ec classes. Home ec was a great class, and I look back,
I guarantee you, home ec has saved me a ton of
and I didn't
money
take
in my
it,
life.
but I wish I had. Now I look back because it was a girls' class. All the girls took.
That's
home ec.
right. That's why I took it.
Yeah.
Yeah, smart.
He makes a mean souffle. Let me
Yeah.
tell you what, mine always collapses. I don't know what the deal is.
Well, dude, we appreciate your time.
I appreciate you guys. I
You know,
mean,
thank you.
And
You know,
good
what
luck
you do
on your
so
venture.
cool.
You know, we're going to be here rooting
Thank you.
for you no matter what you're doing. You know that.
thank you. No, I
So-
appreciate that. You guys are great, and I always try to take time, the day of Landry on that Friday to come out and come over and visit with you guys who are out there tailgating, and it's always such a cool thing to see because it's just unique here. You guys are part of what makes, and when I first talked to Bosco, I was talking to them about coming down here, and they said, well, we've always wanted to play in Texas. I said, well, it's one thing to play in Texas. It's another thing to play in Allen, Texas, because it is the best Friday night lights experience that you could have. And I talked about you guys. So we got people tailgating at 7 a.m. and it's just you're not going to play in a
Serious.
better stadium in the country, and it's just the whole, you have the whole thing here. And that's what I would love for everybody in Allen to say, yeah, we got to reconnect with this, because I talked about it at the awards banquet a few years ago, and said, don't take this for granted and start just, it'll always be there. You have something special. And I watched it at Highland Park. Highland Park used to take 10,000 people to every road game.
Oh, yeah.
And they'd have, more people there. And then Highland Park got bored with winning. And it's like, we'll go to the games at home, but we'll leave at halftime so we can go, to parties and things like that. And then when the playoffs get here, we'll all come again. And so it used to be really special. Now it's like, it's okay. Starting to see that, and I don't want to see it with Allen, because I care about.
Yeah.
And, I didn't go here, but I consider myself an Allen Eagle. I've said it for years, and I just, one day we're all going to be like, the time's going to be short, and you're going to look back and say, I wish I'd have done this. I wish I'd have done that. Well, I got a chance to be a part of something really cool here every Friday night, but only 10 of them, and then it's like got to win to stay in.
Yeah.
So, take advantage of those 10 Friday nights. I'm talking about kids, that student section, that thing should be packed. This is, you get 4 years of high school and this is it. Then it becomes, you're not too close to where you're getting up and going to work every day. This is a cool time in your life where you get to just do fun things. Well, this is, you get to be a part of the fun.
Yeah.
And we need to all make Eagle Stadium just a hellacious place for
somebody
teams
can play.
to come in and play.
Yeah.
A hostile
It
environment.
should be
Just
that.
like
It should
used
like
to be.
AT&T Stadium during that DeSoto game where
Oh my
Shut
gosh.
they
the
said
band down.
shut the band down, and we got
The
so
ref
loud.
shut the band
that
down.
they-
Oh my God.
The ref said play.
We're still
Play.
we're
You
still
gotta
looking
play.
for video on that, because I didn't.
Yeah, the
capture
ref
it,
goes,
but that was
you
classic.
you wanted them to stop playing, you play.
You created it.
Yeah, you created it.
And it's I'm telling you, the Hoover people, I mean, he Coach Niblett was yelling at his team in pregame, because I was down on the field, because Hoover said it was, they're in pregame and they're like, and he's like, focus. He's yelling at them, focus. We got a game to play. Quit looking around. Well, it's hard when you're in this cathedral and you've never seen this many people. And it's
Activities.
intimidating. There's stuff going on.
The band.
We need to make it that way again. I'm telling you, if fans say, I'd love to be a part of it. I'd love to be on the field. Well, you can be a part of this. You can make it difficult on St. John Bosco. The weather's going to help. But if you show up in Eagle Stadium and you are rowdy and loud, you can impact that game, because they haven't seen anything like this. They've played the who's who of teams. Their coaches said
2,000 to 4,000 fans.
never
I mean,
seen
that's-
anything like this. Yeah.
So, Allen fans, come out, cheer loud for your Allen Eagles so we can beat St. John Bosco P. Coltrane.
What? Good Lord.
Yeah.
I've been dying to say it.
Parents, stick around.
I'll never
Roscoe
forget,
P. Coltrane.
it was a year ago, I guess their head of, marketing or something for St. John Bosco was tweeted about, have you ever seen a stadium like this?
Oh,
and it was
yeah.
their
It was
home
their
stadium.
yeah.
And all of us, from Texas, like going, yeah, and started rattling off our stadium, Katy Stadium, all the new stadiums that are being built,
Mesquite.
all in Texas, and go, yeah, I think we have.
We've
Yeah.
seen
I
that.
think we
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, we used to play in that. We called it the double.
We
wide.
called that the double wide.
Now 1A teams in Texas play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but they're a cocky group. I mean, they are,
Oh, they are.
and
Okay.
they think they're going to come in here. There's going to be little or no resistance, and fine, that's okay. But
Hopefully there is a little more.
They'll get theirs.
I think there will be.
Yeah.
I think there will be. I mean, that quarterback's good. That tight end is a freak of nature. Davon, and he and
Mitchell.
Sibley can go, and Zena can play. He's going to play in the SEC somewhere.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I haven't named all of them, but I mean, Allen's got a bunch of good players, and they have worked
Yep.
really hard. Those kids out.
I wish one kid didn't move back to
So,
Katy.
It's all right.
Well, thank you again.
Thanks,
thank you
dude.
guys. I can't tell you how much I like being with you guys and how much I appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome
Y'all are
anytime.
cool
You know
group.
that. We let you. You can walk in this door anytime you want.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully next time I'll be on time. Right?
So we weren't going to tell anybody that you
Well,
were
no,
late, but
And come have
confession's
lunch
good
with
for the
us.
soul,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess.
Come have lunch with us. And
Bring
tailgate.
sausages.
There
Yeah,
you
yeah,
go.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sausages.
Yeah, we will be tailgating starting early in the morning, so we'll be there all day come Landry Day on the 26th, which happens to be my wife's birthday again. This happens every
Happy
4 or 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Friday night.
Celebrate her birthday with us.
Yeah, we'll have a cake or something for us. So
The milk.
good to see you guys again. Again, 3 weeks from yesterday, 7 o'clock at the stadium. We got St. John Bosco versus Allen, and then Lovejoy and College Station Saturday night, 7 as well.
7 o'clock.
7 welcome to both games. It'll be very entertaining. And Kris, thanks again. And until next time, it's over, and we are out.